1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Sound Check. Wednesday show live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Sound Check. Wednesday show live. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It is the Wednesday show. We are live and I am your host, Ian Croll. Joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, we have Connor O'Neill. Connor, dare I ask how you are?
A lot better this time yesterday than where I am now, that's for sure. Quite a bruising and frustrating night, wasn't it, for all everyone for everyone connected to Everton. I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, a little bit downbeat, I think it's safe to say, this morning, following a night in which our worst fears were confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be a difficult show. A lot of emotion to probably come out of this show, and anyone who is watching live, please get your thoughts down. It is only right that you have your opinion as well. Today's agenda, obviously Everton kicked out of the League Cup by Wolves, a League Cup exit. It's not new for Everton, but the manner in which we lost the game is probably the most frustrating thing. So we will get into that. It is a full in-depth show on last night's defeat. Everton obviously did let us down, but our official sponsor, NordVPN, they haven't let us down. They're still here offering a whole host of benefits with their 2-year plan. So to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/EFC. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There is no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the podcast episode description. I appreciate everyone jumping on today's live show. I appreciate everyone listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. So if you do, give us a thumbs up, drop us a like, and subscribe to all Royal Blue platforms. I can't even get through that.
Platforms in which to get your Royal Blue podcast from.
You should. Do you want to sit in this chair?
No, I'm okay, thanks.
Support is greatly appreciated, and as I've said, this might be a hard listen, but we'll get through it.
Therapy session. Think of it as a therapy session.
That's what we like to call it. Connor, there's only really one place to start for me, and that is with the starting 11. We can get into the ins and outs of the game and how we reacted and how the players played, and you can get all into that. But considering we don't play till Monday, I've just heard you speaking to someone before we come in here. You've just said the exact same thing. We don't play till Monday, and considering the burning desire of Everton fans to win a trophy, which has obviously been 30 years in the making, to make wholesale changes, for the manager to make wholesale changes against the Premier League side, by the way, away from home. This is not like it was away from home to a League One or a League Two side. Regardless of whether certain players needed minutes or to get into that first team, how do you view it?
I mean, it starts with the team sheet, doesn't it? When that team sheet drops, were we expecting changes? Yeah, we were expecting changes. I think it's, I think, for instance, we all thought Tyler Dibblin would come in for his start, and maybe Seamus Coleman might get a run out. But apart from that, we were expecting a strong team. Was it 7 changes in the end, which I don't think we were expecting that many. And it just set the tone, didn't it, for what was a pretty woeful night. I mean, the first half was absolutely abysmal. Yeah. I feel for everyone who endures watching that, to be honest. I feel for even more the people who went to Molyneux to watch it, because to go all the way there on Tuesday night to be served up that is not good enough. Too many players let themselves down. If David Moyes was maybe thinking, and I think he probably is thinking this a little bit, of maybe some of them players have been knocking on his door asking why they're not getting a look in, so he gives them a chance to show what they can offer. And what we saw was that there's a reason why they're probably not getting a look in. But it just felt like one of those things that was so self-inflicted. We don't play till Monday. We then play one more game, and we've got an international break. Could Jack Grealish now play from the start, for instance? Could Kieran Dewsbury-Hall now play from the start? Could we just not named a full-strength team and gone for it, and maybe get ourselves into a good position with 20 minutes to go and start making a couple of changes? But with Monday in mind. The team sheet just set the tone for me, and we never really recovered. And I think everyone was a little bit. I was a bit fearful going into this game, and I said this in the office actually yesterday evening before some of the people who work near were going home, and I was a bit fearful because it felt like one of them nights. You know, Wolves hadn't sold many tickets. Wolves fans had been kicking off over the start of the season and the lack of investment in the squad. Pereira desperately needed a win. And it kind of felt like one of them nights where Everton are going to rock up here and they'll be rolled over. You're just hoping that with this change in mentality that people in the squad keep talking about, and it was going to be we were going to see a very different Everton, and it was going to be one of them nights where you thought it's another hurdle, overcome that. You know, that could have been a real banana skin for us. It hasn't been. We've safely secured our passage into the next round. Let's hope we get a home tie. But instead, it was just same old Everton, wasn't it? We just, were woeful, limped out the cup, and now, it's going into 31 years since we've last won a trophy.
I want to come on to mentality because I made a big thing on X last night about the mentality, certainly of Everton in cup competitions, and the fact that we haven't won a trophy for so long now. It's obviously, it's not just frustrating, it's starting to turn into anger. I don't think, with the starting lineup, I don't think there's any denying that certain players or a few players need minutes or needed the minutes. I don't think that's without question. However, there's ways to manage that, and there's ways to integrate players into a starting lineup. There's ways of giving players minutes coming off from the bench, which we'll come on to. I know previous podcasts over the past couple of days and weeks, a lot of fans have been frustrated that Moyes hasn't taken the opportunity to bring a Dibbling on when we're a 0-0, or whether we're 1-0 down, or whether we're 2-1 down. Even an Alcaraz, why not try an Alcaraz? Even a Dwight McNeil, to a certain extent. I know there's question marks over his quality, and we can come on to his performance last night, which I thought was, pretty poor. However, I will defend him a little bit and say that Dwight McNeil's never been a player that comes in from the cold and hits the ground running. Now, whether you can... That's not really a defence. However, Dwight McNeil needs time and game time to get up and running.
Yeah, I mean...
That wasn't the time to throw a Dwight McNeil in. It might have been the time to throw Dwight McNeil if it was a League 2 side, a League 1 side, not away from home against the Wolves team. Okay, they are bottom of the league, but they're not terrible.
They gave us a game of the week, just on McNeil, because I think we should stick with McNeil, because he was very much the topic of conversation, wasn't he, last night on X and other social media platforms. I agree with you. I think McNeil's at his best when he plays every week.
He needs to get rhythm, doesn't he?
And he's like, he has one good game and he rolls into the next game. That's when he's at his best. Mm-hmm. As we've seen, he's no good when it's like stop-start, in and out. It takes some time to build up. And also, his confidence is clearly taking a kicking, because ultimately he has gone from being one of the first names on the team sheet under Sean Dyche, probably being Everton's most creative player, best attacking outlet, to all of a sudden he finds himself on the bench. And he's probably looking at the likes of Kieran Dewsbury, Ilman and Dye, Jack Grealish, thinking, I've got a long way to go here before I get a look in. Because as we've seen so far, all three of them have come in and made an instant impact, and really, well, in Dye's case he was already there, but they've really clicked, and things have fell into gear, certainly from a trio point of view. So it was never the game to just throw them in and hope for the best, essentially, which it kind of felt like last night.
That's exactly what it was.
And that's what annoys me more behind this, because there was no need to do that. We should have just took it seriously, played the full strength team, and just treated it like we would the Premier League game, because we had nothing to lose by doing that. Nothing to lose at all.
No, just some comments here. So Liam EFC, Moyes said he wanted a cup run. Obviously we haven't got that. Mark Foster says Moyes got it wrong last night, and if we lose to West Ham, then the heat will be on Moyes. James Graham, McNeil and Tim Iraboomum were terrible. How McNeil stayed on for the second half was mad. I just think, going back to the starting lineup, I just think players need minutes. We know that the squad depth in terms of quality is not great. However, there are players there that can be utilised over the course of the season. Naturally, suspensions, injuries are going to occur, so these players are going to get the chance. We don't play till Monday. We haven't had a massive backlog of fixtures where you think players are, running on empty here. I know there's been one or two knocks, which Moyes has stated. I don't really think there would have been a problem in playing, not starting in Dye last night. I think dropping too many of them. I think maybe start Grealish. I think keep putting Alcaraz in there as the number 10, but bringing Kane and Dewsbury Hall back as a deeper role. And if I'm quite honest, I don't want to be too critical of Tim Iroboom, but he's just not cutting the mustard at this moment in time.
No.
I felt like
against Aston Villa.
I felt he started okay against Villa and then just faded, but he just didn't take his chance last night, and he was poor, and he would have been the first name that I would have took off last night rather than Alcaraz.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote after the Villa game actually that I thought it was quite interesting, the Villa game. I know we're on a tangent here a little bit, but obviously Merlin Rowe was the first one. I know obviously Rowe's now injured, but Merlin Rowe was the first person that David Moyes turned to against Villa, and Iroboom was the first one taken off. And obviously, Michael Ball written his echo column prior to the Villa game saying that he did that, Roll being impressed in training and stuff like that. And it did feel like Moyes had clearly seen something in Roll that he liked.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was always going to be the case and Roll was going to play in the derby or not, I'm not too sure, because it's a bit of a baptism of fire. But the Villa game felt like a bit like Iroboom just played himself off the team. He didn't really give Moyes a decision to make. He didn't really give Moyes a kind of a headache. It was almost like, actually, you've just done me a favour there by doing that, because next week when I drop you, you can have no complaints. And it felt like that again last night. I think one moment summed up the whole game for me, and that was Iroboom's shot the second half at 1-0.
It was poor,
which he, completely miscued and, it went into the stand. That just summed it up how bad of a night it was. And there was a lot of players there last night who I think have lost the chance to go knock on David Moyes' door and ask why they're not getting a game, because we probably saw last night why they're not getting a game.
Some interesting comments here.
Just on what you said earlier about the knocks. I get that, but clearly there's not enough knocks there with some of the better players that they couldn't be brought on by a half time, 20 minutes to go, or half an hour to go, was they? So they were clearly fit,
Yeah.
If you can put Dewsbury all on at half time, there's no reason why he can't start the game.
Yeah.
If you can put Jack Grealish on with half an hour to go, there's no reason why he can't start the game. It's not like they were in the squad because they've carrying knocks and stuff like that. They were clearly fit. Moyes just opted to rest them, which, in my opinion, is criminal. I think it's, I was all for actually last night dropping Ndiaye playing Dibbling, because I think you've got to give Dibbling opportunity in game time, and we haven't really seen what he can offer. And I think Dibbling's a good player, and I was impressed with him at Southampton. But you're playing with Jack Grealish and Keane Dewsbury Hall, or as you say, you're playing with Jack Grealish and Charlie Alcaraz and Dewsbury Hall behind them.
Yeah.
You don't take them all off the team in one go. And I mean, we've got to touch on it because I think it's quite worrying. In fact, it's beyond worrying. It was the second game in succession we had to hook a centre forward at half time. And it's the second centre forward. It's 2 games running now that we've had to hook our centre forward at half time because they've been so innocuous. And that is alarming because it was bad. Obviously, Beto was obviously withdrawn on Saturday. And look, I don't think anyone could complain because.
But what does that tell you though? That it's not just the striker's fault though, is it?
No, it's not. But it's
how we're setting up to play.
It's also quite worrying though, isn't it? If they having to hook them.
No, but look, Barry was poor last night, and Beto was poor on Saturday. But we're quite clearly not playing to the strengths, and because of this, confidence is in the mud now on both of them.
Yeah,
Beto had a fantastic run towards the back end of last season, and scored quite a few goals, and quite clearly had his eye in for goal.
But it goes back,
complete
it goes
opposite.
back into what we were talking about before. He probably had that run and back bit of confidence because he knew he was going to play. Because obviously Calvert-Lewin was injured, Schmidt kind of wasn't in the picture. Same with McNeil. What we're saying about McNeil, you're going to be playing every week and you're doing well. Your confidence through the roof, isn't it? If you know you're not going to be playing and you're not going to be, in every week, it's going to suffer. And obviously Beto has been in and out this season. Barry's obviously been in and out. I just think there was. Last night we had the chance, I think, if we play a proper team, we get the result, we paper over the few cracks that we've got, because we've had a good start to the season, but we've got cracks. There's no doubt in that. There's still areas in which we can improve and room for improvement, but we just didn't do that, and now it feels like all our cracks are being exposed, and
our confidence is going to be low now.
We've got, like I say, we've got 2 centre forwards who've both been hooked off in consecutive matches, and we've got players who clearly we might have to call up at some point because of injuries, whose confidence is low as well. So yeah, it was a bad night. A bad night.
Kevin Kraft says not starting with Jack Grealish was a big problem for me. A couple of other comments, which is quite interesting, on Idrissa Gana Gay. So Mark Doyle says, I think the performance last night was down to not playing Gana. In my opinion, he is our most important player. I know you've touched upon this a number of times throughout the past couple of weeks. You even said it following on from the Wolves game when Garner went off and we kind of lost our way.
You lose the adults in the room.
What I will say on that is I don't disagree. However, he's a 35-year-old midfielder, which we can't keep relying on and going back to the well with too often. We've got players there who can fill in that. I'm going to say this now, and I've said it a number of times. Kieran Dewsbury's not a number 10, so we need to stop playing him as a number 10. I understand why he's playing there because he's quite good on the ball, but he's not having this impact that he should be having. He needs to play now as the deeper holding midfielder. So question marks, I'll come on to you on this. Questions now need to be raised about who, out of the Dewsbury Hall, Gay and Garner, who fits in as that number 2. Because I think Grealish needs to move over to the number 10. And I still think you can make an argument for Alcaraz to play as that number 10 as well. A lot of people thought he was dreadful yesterday, but everyone was dreadful.
Yeah.
If there was one player who looked in the first half like he was trying to do something, drive the ball forward, it was him. I was actually gobsmacked that he took him off.
Though, Michael Keane.
Well, we'll come on to that. But in terms of the midfield problem that we've got now, what do you make of that?
It's a massive headache, isn't it? Because like I'm a big Idrissa Gana Gay fan. If people didn't know that already, and I believe
we all are.
And I believe like he should be on the pitch at all times. Like I said after Wolves, the thing with Wolves was it generally felt like we were cruising. Moyes took him off, and I just think it's like the adult leaves the room, and like it's like the kids just go and do it. And it sounds so stupid, but it's like people just start doing stuff that they wouldn't do because he's not there to tell them what to do or to make recovery tackles. But within saying that, I wouldn't be against him being rested last night because he is someone who you probably look at and think we've got to rest him. You know, he's, as you say, he's 35. He's basically playing every Premier League game we can get him on the pitch for. But I think, like you said there, I would have played Kieran Dewsbury Hall a little bit deeper with James Garner. I thought playing Irabuma was a bit of a mistake.
It's a risk every time he plays now because he's just not up to scratch. He probably should have gone out on loan, really.
Irabuma.
Yeah.
I do wonder if maybe if we'd have got Merlin Rowan a little bit earlier, would perhaps
look. He's injured, isn't he? He's injured, so he might. No, but if he'd
have come in a little bit early in the window, would it have been allowed to leave? It was the fact that obviously Rowe didn't come in till late on deadline day,
I think he starts,
and that only enabled Armstrong to go essentially. You know, I think last night Merlin Rowe, if he was fit, would have started last night.
Yeah.
He'd have 100% been playing last night.
But based on Irabuma's performance against Villa, it's not like he's done enough to really warrant that first team chance. Again, it goes back to what we were saying just before. Moyes just kind of thrown this team together, just kind of hoping for the best and to give these players what he thinks is much needed minutes. It's fine to do that in a friendly. Don't do that in a cup.
It's the manager attitude, though, isn't it? I think sometimes like, well, go and show me what you can do. You know, and really all the confirmed probably for Moyes is why some of these players aren't in the picture for playing. But
okay,
you know,
but the consequence of that is that
without
the cup.
Yeah, and we've lost a chance to win a trophy.
I'm a huge advocate for David Moyes and still am. Like,
he's done wonderful things. I said that last night. He's done some wonderful things since he come back. He enabled us to enjoy leaving Goodison. You know, he enabled us to know that we were going to be a Premier League club long before the season was done. You know, he enabled us to start this season with a bit of optimism, a bit of fresh hope. Some of the home performances, I think, have been quite good. You know, obviously, Brighton to get the win was great. Aston Villa, we should have won. You know, let's face it, we should have beat Aston Villa. But last night, he got it horribly, horribly wrong. And I think every level of criticism that is thrown his way, he warrants and he deserves.
Yeah, and it's not like... I've seen a couple of people, even one or two people on this stream saying, you know, Moyes should be sacked. I think that's going a little bit too far. To reserve that judgment is a bit silly, in my opinion, although you are entitled to
what he does do, though, he's put himself under pressure.
He's put himself under pressure.
Because
unnecessary pressure.
If we don't beat West Ham and Crystal Palace, going into that next international break, there'll be a lot of people sat there dwelling on what's been in the last fortnight and asking questions. I'm not saying that David Moyes is going anywhere, by the way, but, you know, if he gets through last night and we go into the international break with another cup tie, people are being optimistic.
I don't think he's under any pressure whatsoever of facing the sack, and the fact that we're speaking about this is a bit silly. Look, I want to, from my point of view, I want to say that I still am a supporter of Moyes.
Yes, so am I, 100%. He's the best man for the job.
A lot of people are. I'm just a little bit... The mentality of old is still there for me, and that goes back... Before Moyes, it goes back after Moyes, of the attitude in cup competitions. We've seen it with Frank Lampard and resting,
Tossing them away.
your first team against the Bournemouth side and getting beat, and then go and play in Bournemouth a couple of days later with your first team and still getting beat. It's winning breeds confidence at the end of the day, and I was just really disappointed. Everything that Moyes has come since he's come back, and what he said about aiming for Europe, obviously from a league viewpoint of position, getting into Europe from the league point of view may well be easier to do than actually winning a trophy and getting into Europe. But I'm pretty sure he said, like, he hasn't come out and said we're going to win a trophy, but he said we want to try and win a trophy.
Before Mansfield, about like having watched Palace and Newcastle last year do what they've done, obviously what he experienced at West Ham, it's give people belief that they can go on and the lesser clubs can win trophies against the big boys. Obviously, because for so long it was such a crowded out market. It wasn't like Liverpool in the League Cup, was it 3 out of 4 years, and the FA Cup's probably just gone between the same clubs and
United and stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah, United's, City. So the last few years has given hope that people can win trophies, and look what it's done for them fans and the nights and days it's given them supporters. And it was just annoying last night because it just felt like history was repeating itself for all the wrong reasons.
I mean, it is worth noting, as someone's just pointed out in my Twitter notifications here, Kevin Dyer actually says, worth noting that whilst we made 7 changes from the weekend, Wolves made 9. So there's a balance to it, I guess. So I'm not entirely sure how those 7 players that Wolves changed, how many minutes they've had, etc. But Moyes did respond to a question regarding his changes. So what do you make of this? He said, there was no real reasons. We've got a lot of good players, and we've got players in the squad who are getting back to fitness, some of them who are not. So we just wanted to give them some of an opportunity to show what they can do. You said that though, didn't you? But you just don't do that in the cup though. It's such a massive risk.
I suppose you'll probably look at it and think it's more of a risk to do it in a Premier League game than it is a
No, I just don't think you do it.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. I just think it's the weighing it up, isn't it?
You integrate these individuals, your Divlins, your Alcaraz, your McNeil, again to an extent, slowly into the team alongside an Ndai, a Grealish, a Dewsbury Hall. There's been ample opportunity for Moyes to do that. Certainly against Leeds when you're 1-0 down with, 15 minutes to go. I'm crying out for McNeil to come on the pitch. Could he have had an impact? I don't know. We don't know. Villa...
I mean, there's no one to say McNeil could have been left back for all these from the start.
Listen, we can argue and debate McNeil's quality all along. We just know that he can have impact on the game to a certain extent. Villa, you're looking at 0-0. We've played well and then we've dropped off a little bit, but then we've come back into the ascendancy with about 15 minutes to go. And Dyer's looking a little bit leggy. Dewsbury Hall's not having the impact that he should have. Make the changes there. There's a couple of minutes for the team. Against Liverpool, you're getting beat. It can't be any worse than what it is now. 15, 20 minutes to go. Okay, I can't even remember what minute we scored in, but he obviously wanted to give the players. He wanted to give the players a chance on the pitch to continue on with that. 2-1. Can they make it 2-2? After another 10 minutes or so, you're bringing Diblin on for me. You've got to try something different, and to give those players 7 minutes in the derby. It's no wonder that team looks so disjointed, so cold. It looked like they'd never played together at all, the entire 11. And another thing as well, and a couple of comments on this. I know he probably didn't directly impact the game, but Jordan Pickford should not have been dropped from that team. From an influential point of view,
was a little bit of respect from Travis, to be honest.
I thought that just defensively it was
a shambles, I didn't think he covered himself in glory though.
He makes a good save. His parry, you could maybe say, if you're going to micro-analyse, you could say you could probably do better with the parry. It goes straight into the arms. It goes straight into the path of a Wolves player. You just have to look at the players around him. They're just ball watching. McNeil's prime example of that.
Yeah.
Keane as well. I don't want to be too critical of Keane because he has done well. I'll just run through my player ratings. I don't know what you scored them, Connor, but I gave Travis a 9. A 9? I gave Travis a 5.
Bloody alien.
I mean, Freudian slip there. Travis a 5, Coleman a 5, Keane a 5, Tarkowski a 5, O'Brien a 6, Ida a 4, James Garner. I was trying to be positive. I thought in the second half he looked like the only one who was trying.
He goes closest, doesn't he, to Jordan's level.
And he had another chance as well. The keeper made the save, so I gave him a 7. it's harsh on Diblin because he's come in cold. I've given him a 5. Alcaraz, I've given him a 5, but I was really shocked that Moyes took him off. I thought he was the only one in the first half that looked like he could do something. McNeil, I gave him a 3, and Tieno Barry, I gave him a 4. But again, you mentioned the striker situation. Their confidence must be shattered now. It must be so low, and this chopping and changing and not playing to strengths, it's not helping.
No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who gets the nod on Monday night. Like, you know, who's...
Well, there you go. So, okay, based on what's just happened over the past 2, who gets the nod? You're probably going back to Beto, aren't you?
Isn't it? I think probably, yeah.
Which is mad, because then if that doesn't work...
Given the last time he played at home, he was one of the reasons why we didn't get 3 points.
Biggest concern is, even with the likes of Grealish and Ndiaye on the pitch, and I know we've had a relatively okay start to the season, barring the Leeds and Liverpool defeats, but even in the games where we've played well and scored goals, it doesn't seem to me like there's like an attempt to create like any passages of play and get the ball in behind the defence. It almost feels to me like Moyes is relying on certain individuals with the creativity, obviously likes of Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, just to just get the ball into the box and again hope for the best. Hope Beto gets on the end of it. Hope Barry can run in behind. Do you have any opinion on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I think it's not. I don't think it's as hit and hope as some people make out, but I also think the problem as well though is that you do wonder some of our attacking players have little confidence in our forwards are going to take the chances when they come, because we've seen haven't we this season that our attacking players, i.e. Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, they have created chances for the forward and they've not been taken. So it's a two-way thing, isn't it? Like the forwards probably lacking in confidence, but are the attackers lacking in confidence in the belief that the forward players who we have on the pitch have got the ability to take the chances when they come? Because, you know, the prime example is Aston Villa, isn't it, when Beto should score inside the first 5 minutes after some good work from Grealish and Ndiaye. There was a few against Brighton, wasn't he, at home? You know, Barry has an opportunity in the first half, Beto has one in the second half. It's a two-way thing, isn't it? I think we've improved from an attacking point of view, but I think there's still a long way to go. And that long way to go is we need a centre forward who's more clinical. And that's the top and bottom of it, isn't it? I mean,
no, but you say we need a centre forward, and obviously you kind of agree with Tony Scott in terms of that, but we've just paid 28 million for Atieno.
No, I agree. I agree on that. I completely agree, but we still need more, don't we? It's as simple as that. Put it this way, I watched Arsenal versus Man City on Sunday. I know, look, it's a different world and stuff, but the minute Haaland took that touch and went clean through, you never in a million years thought he was going to miss. You 100% thought he was going to score. I'm getting the same vibe a little bit, to be honest with you, with Ekitike at Liverpool, where like you look at his goal on Saturday, he takes the touch, and you're thinking he's going to score. Like he's got the composure. Whereas, with respect, with the two centre forwards Everton have got, you don't have that same hope and belief, do you? And that's the difference. And I think until that can be changed, fixed, maybe it's a bit of a confidence thing, they might get a bit more confident. Everton will still have a long way to go in terms of being the finished article. And look, we need more players than just the centre forward, but it massively helps if you've got someone who can play up top and take the chances when they come.
Paul Williams is with a bit of a balanced view. He says, I put this down to just a really bad night. All teams have them. I think that there were mistakes all through the team. And from Moyes, there's no need to lose our heads.
No, it's still a long way to go, isn't it? And Everton could still have a really good season.
But without the cup, though.
We could win the FA Cup, but it's an opportunity missed, and that's the big thing. It's an opportunity
Moyes
missed.
didn't think it was an opportunity missed, did he? I'm sure he said that in his post-match press conference.
Well, he's not good, though, is he? He's not going to come out and say,
no, but
we just threw that away, and, you know.
His reason being for that, I think I'm right in saying this, is just said because we played Wolves, a Premier League team. So why take the risk of playing a weakened team then?
That's only he can answer that question, can't he?
Stephen Williams agrees with me. He says, Ian is bang on with Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Glad someone said it apart from me. Someone finally agrees with me in the chat.
Yeah, it's a face for everything.
I tell you what is the biggest problem right now throughout the whole squad or starting 11, and it's not the strikers, it's the full-back situation.
Well, it's madness, isn't it, that we basically don't have, well, obviously he has new sign, but he's clean up and thinking to start games. We don't have a right. I mean, it was quite telling last night, wasn't it? And this, you made a good point there, because we've got a right back and a left and 2 left backs on the bench, and yet we start the game with a right back at left back and a centre back at right back.
I've got vivid memories of Seamus Coleman making his debut against Benfica in the Stadium Light as the left back, which I was in attendance for.
And who did they come up against that night?
Remind me.
Angel Di Maria.
Oh yeah,
I knew that. And he absolutely destroyed them, didn't he? And was a world beater.
What is it? 16, 17
years later, he's still left back.
Our right back captain is playing left back.
That's the second time he's played it this season. Because did he play there against Mansfield as well, or was he right back for Mansfield?
I can't even remember. Someone in the comments let us know. But that's ridiculous, isn't it? That is ridiculous.
But it's more like, it's one of them, isn't it? If we had an injury and suspension crisis, you could be like, fair enough, he's just doing a job for the team. It's what you'd expect from him, because, you know, the reason why everyone connected to Everton Football Club's love Seamus Coleman. But it's a bit worrying, isn't it, when you've got a right back and 2 left backs on the bench, and our back 4 consists of 3 centre backs and a right back at left back.
If we had
that's it. When you think of it like that, it's genuinely baffling, isn't it, what he done? Because does that show that he's got no faith in Nathan Patterson whatsoever? He's got no faith in Adam Asnou. Mikalenko, to be fair, probably was rested because he's had a knock, hasn't he? He come back up weekend. And
yeah.
If I'm being honest, I thought the gamble backfired a little bit on Sunday. I thought
Saturday,
Saturday.
The derby.
I didn't think he looked fit. I thought the gamble backfired a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So he's clearly been nursing the knock, but it is mad. Couldn't get a look in last night to play. Or did David Moyes just think, I don't want to make too many changes? So
I just think the full-back's more of a problem than the forward line at this moment in time. I think you had, and I'm not being critical of Jake O'Brien here, but he's just not a proper full-back. He's playing out of position. I gave him a 6 last night because I felt like he was probably the only full-back on the pitch. You looked like he was trying to get forward. But even, he's just not, his body and the way he's built, it's just not.
He's not a fullback though, is he?
Exactly.
He's a centre back.
So if you had a specialised fullback, left and right, playing in the correct side,
Everton technically have on the bench. Had on the bench last night.
It would help Grealish and Ndiaye on the wings so much more, instead of having to cut in, which they're having to do more often than not. They can still cut in, but play the overlap.
I think even like we've got problems, haven't we, when certainly we play at home against like Sevilla, where they sit deep, where Mikalenko's not as forward thinking as he is, probably what he should be, and he doesn't overlap Grealish probably as much as what he should do. I think that's an issue we've got as well that probably needs addressing. Because I think Mikalenko's really good defensively, and I've been a big fan of his from a defensive point of view. But them games where you want your fullback to be on the halfway line, moving forward, advancing forward, he's just not there, is he? And it's worrying, I think it's safe to say.
Andy Walker says, deflated and disappointed. It's a mindset issue for me. Focus, positivity, attitude, all wrong, and the team selection, questionable. Some comments on the strikers. So Peter Brown says, you could see Barry was miles off being a Premier League player in the friendly. How was it left with them two? I don't know. I mean, I know Tony Scott has said, in hindsight now, looking back, that we've only got 2 fit and available strikers who are, you could argue, certainly Barry is unproven. You could argue Beto's still, Geordie's still out on Beto. To be left with just those 2, it is looking like a bit of a wrong decision, isn't it?
It's a gamble, isn't it? And it's whether does the gamble pay off? Probably not.
Brian Burns, the 2 centre forwards are dreadful. Tell one of them you play in the next 10 games, then let's see what happens. Nothing. Tell the other one the same. It's no good chopping and changing every game. You said that, didn't you?
Mm.
I'm just really disappointed with the manager's approach. And this is not me or you saying he should be sacked. I think it's justifiable to be critical of last night and everything that
I think it's
centred around
it's more any criticism that comes his way, he's got to take it, he's got to accept it.
Are you disappointed that he didn't come out and address it? I mean, not that he should or that he would, but maybe just say, yeah, maybe I got that wrong.
He's not going to say that.
Whatever. This is a man, and a manager who's meant to get the fans.
At the end of the day, he gave players an opportunity to show what they've got, and some of them didn't take it.
I know, but do you know what though?
From his perspective,
that doesn't mean that they're poor or they can't develop through the season. Now fans and me and you and everyone else, they're on like McNeil's back because he had a poor showing. It doesn't mean McNeil can't have an impact this season. It just means that he was kind of mismanaged in a way. He was brought in when, threw in at the deep end when he shouldn't have really been, played from the start last night. He should have been integrated with the likes of other players and given minutes gradually as the season's progressed. We play Monday.
Yeah,
it's not as if like we play Saturday at 12:30 and we're thinking, well, we need to be careful what we do here. Unless there's someone who's injured, which quite clearly you said before doesn't seem to be the case, because if Ndai was really that bad, then don't put him in the squad. I'm only using Ndai as an example because I know he has picked up a knock over the course of the past couple of weeks. Just baffling, to be totally honest. I mean, two managers, I guess, a little bit under pressure.
That's the thing with a podcast there, isn't it? Baffling.
Do you want to look ahead a little bit to West Ham, or do you want to continue this chat of Wolves?
But it is looking ahead to West Ham, isn't it? It is like, how many days? It's 4 days away, 5 days away. I'm
just conscious that I am off to Benidorm tomorrow.
All right, for some.
I know. I'm not going to be here for the Friday show, so
we'll do a quick 5-10 minutes on West Ham then.
Yeah, we'll finish.
I mean, to be fair, we've spoken enough about the fact enough about Wolves, I think, and made our feelings clear.
We're out.
There's only so many times you can say you're disappointed with the manager.
Exactly. I mean,
that's the reality. Okay. We're out now. We're out. Now we've got to look at.
Was there any positive that you could take from last night? Did you look at anyone and go, I'll be honest with you, Alcaraz was my only positive from that game.
And it looked like he's got less hope of being involved on Moyes than anyone else.
Moyes clearly doesn't fancy McNeil, even though he gave him a chance.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't fancy Alcaraz, even though he gave him a chance. I mean, that's probably wrong. I probably should take that back because we ended up buying Alcaraz. But I feel like there was a bit of a reluctance from the club to make that Alcaraz deal a permanent deal.
I think it was a good deal, wasn't it? It was like 12 million. He's probably a good squad player. But again, I think he's one of them. He probably needs to start games, doesn't he? And build up a bit of momentum. I think coming on doesn't really work for him. But look, we're out. There's nothing we can do. It's all eyes on West Ham now on Monday.
And another manager who's probably under a bit more pressure.
He wasn't really under pressure. Pereira was. He just gave him a new contract.
No,
so
I mean,
he
sorry.
was safe as anything. Potter is very much under pressure, isn't he, at West Ham?
Do you think he goes on Monday if he
I think
wins?
he comes needing a win to keep his job, to be honest.
Yeah.
The only thing that might save him, and I actually read this over the week.
Sorry, Kevin Kraft said send the team to Benidorm for a break in the sun.
The only thing that could save him is apparently West Ham's next 2 games before the international break are us, Everton away and Arsenal away. So I don't know whether maybe he might get a stay of execution because they'll let him get beaten both of them and then sack him going into the international break and bring a new manager in and give them a week to work with the team and get his feet on the table.
If you're going to sack someone, it's the perfect opportunity to do it, isn't it?
And would you want to sack him after Everton and then go to Arsenal 4 or 5 days later? Probably not. So, I mean, that's just me hyper thinking about it. But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
James Graham says, how can he not fancy Alcaraz? He's played okay. I think he has made an impact in every time he's played, if I'm being totally honest.
Sometimes, though, people just don't fit the manager's way of playing, do they, in style?
What is the manager's player way in at this moment in time?
Get the ball out wide to the 2 wingers, isn't it, and try and make something special, magic happen.
That's what I mean. That's what I was saying before, though. There's now an over-reliance on those 2 players just to create something.
Yeah, there is.
And that's why, if anything, that's why Dewsbury-Hall's not having an impact on the game, because he will pick up the ball.
Well, his job is to get the ball and shift it out wide.
That's what I mean. He'll pick up the ball and just pass it out wide. He doesn't really like.
That's why he's playing. That's why he's playing in the position he is, because it's the trust that he can put his foot on the ball and shift it out wide.
But you've seen,
because you're going to be able to, like, for instance, like Decore, you could never do that, could you? You couldn't put him in 10 and say your job is to get on the ball, turn and shift it out wide. because he will probably find road double Z on more occasions than he finds a blue shirt.
Yeah.
But that is, I think, the way Everton are playing, and it's worked, but it also comes with kind of consequences of if Grealish and Ndiaye start to get crowded out, there's not much of a backup option.
I can't say I watched.
And as we've seen as well, just going long into better Ward Barry doesn't really work. So they're both having off days and they can't hold the ball up, which we've seen them do. It's a long old afternoon.
Just on Dewsbury Hall, can't say I saw loads of him before he came to Everton. I knew enough that he was a good player, played for a couple of decent teams. I thought his game was always about progressing the ball from deep, further forward, rather than being that number 10. You've seen clips of him. I think it was probably more for Leicester. Obviously, he was in the Championship, but where he drives the ball forward. That's what I thought Kiernan Dewsbury Hall was going to be able to do, and still think he can do that, but he's not playing in a position that enables him to do that. And I just think it's to the detriment of the team. But then it goes back to how does Moyes fit all these, options, very good options, into a cohesive unit.
Yeah, it's tough.
But you've got Croll as well, who's going to come in, who's probably, by all accounts, Moyes does fancy him, and as soon as he's fit and ready, match fit, you wouldn't be surprised if he's in there regularly.
He's definitely the thinker, isn't he? Because he was obviously the first one he turned to against Villa to just freshen things up. So,
well, I don't know whether we're going to have a show Friday. We hopefully are, and if we do, it's going to be over like a StreamYard video remote, so don't know who's going to be on. I'm not going to be here, but we will be back Monday for a post-match pod after the West Ham game with me and Tony. So, just very quickly, barring injuries or suspensions or whatever, I don't think there's any suspensions that we need to worry about. What do you do, Connor, for Monday then? Obviously,
you make changes, don't you?
you go back to the well.
Yeah, you go back to one of them players who've saved you so well. So
you know what I mean. No, obviously you've kind of already suggested you would bring Beto back in.
Mikalenko comes back in at left back.
He was fit.
O'Brien stays at right back with Keane and Tarkowski. Pickford comes back in goal. Rissa Garner-Gay comes back in the midfield with James Garner. Dewsbury Hall plays in the 10. Ndiaye go one wing, Grealish goes to them, Beto goes up top.
It's so important that we get a win against West Ham, all things considered, because they are a team under pressure. They're not playing well. If you lose to a team like West Ham, the fans are just going to start getting on.
Well, everyone gets a little bit edgy, don't they?
Don't think there's any worry about relegation, but in terms of expectation, how it's gone.
And it's a sort of game, isn't it, that you'll look at and think we should be winning, given the position there and the pressure that Graham Potter's under and stuff.
Absolutely. Do you want to give a prediction now, or
I will go 3-1 Everton.
Okay. So you've literally done a 180. You've gone from being really negative to Everton are going to smash.
I was really negative about last night. I'm now confident we're
going to get a reaction, basically.
Yeah. 3-1. What yourself?
2-0.
2-0.
This is what Everton does to you, isn't it? Always brings you back in.
That's the reason why we still support them.
Otherwise, what's the point in life?
People would have just given up years ago, wouldn't you? You couldn't handle the disappointment.
Okay, we will finish off. Any final thoughts then before we do go off? Come on, give us like a
keep the faith.
Inspiration.
Keep the faith.
That'll do.
It's a process. Ups and downs. We could still be at Wembley in May next year winning the FA Cup. Just keep that in mind.
And on that note, that is all for today's Royal Blue podcast. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Drop us some 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your week. We will be back with a post-match podcast on Monday. Hopefully, we will be back on Friday with a West Ham preview. Hope and Joe, maybe you are going to be about. Chris will be about. Hopefully there'll be a show on Friday. Just keep an eye out for it on all Royal Blue platforms. I've been Ian Croll with Conor O'Neill, and this has been the Royal Blue podcast.